Hello and welcome back to our children's book tasting video. I have a new book for you this evening called the Undercover Book List by Colleen Nelson. Between her father's posting overseas and her best friend Sienna's move to the other side of the country, 7th grade is looking lonely for Jane Macdonald. But Sienna has left her with one last trick: a hidden message in a library. The perfect plot to start a secret club and find Jane a new book-loving friend. Tyson Flamand has problems of his own. For years he's had a reputation as a troublemaker, and there's no point of fighting it when the teachers always think the worst. So when he finds an anonymous note in the library looking for a nerdy new friend, he knows he's the last person in the world it could have been meant for. But something makes him answer it right away, and Tyson finds himself pulled into a secret book club where being hidden may be the first step to being truly seen. Alright, so as always, I will be reading the first few pages of our book. Chapter 1. I didn't want to be late. Not today, but my 6-year-old sister Kate had been extra picky about the way I braided her hair, and then she stopped to play with our neighbor's dog. By the time I dropped her off at the primary entrance and raced to the middle school doors of Forest Hills School, the bell was about to ring. Sorry, I apologized as soon as I found Sienna. Before I could say anything else, Sienna pulled out a small shiny box from her jacket pocket. I got you something, Sienna said. I was going to give it to you at the end of the day, but I can't wait. She passed it to me and I lifted the lid. Inside was a necklace with a silver heart pendant. Best Friends engraved on it. I love it, I whispered. Thank you. Even if I'm not here, we'll still be besties. We'd said that to each other so many times since we found out she was moving, I'd lost count. I promised her I wouldn't cry, but tears sprang to my eyes at her words. By tomorrow, Sienna would be on a plane to her new home, far away. I have something for you too, I said. Kate wasn't the only thing that had slowed me down this morning. Sienna's gift weighed a ton. I unzipped my backpack and pulled out her present, the illustrated hardcover edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Sienna had wanted it for ages. You can read it and think of me. She clutched it to her chest, speechless. The bell for homeroom rang and neither of us moved. A wave of emptiness rolled over me even though Sienna was standing right there. I swallowed the lump in my throat and took a deep breath. I needed to be strong for Sienna. As hard as this was to say goodbye to my best friend, it was worse for her. Moving to a new city, starting over at a new school, making new friends, at least I'd still be in familiar surroundings. I'm going to miss you so much, she said. We can call and text, I said, trying to stay upbeat. And FaceTime. You'll be so busy making new friends, you'll barely have time to miss me. She snorted with disbelief. Yeah, right. Here, help me with my necklace, I said, changing the subject. I lifted my hair so she could attach the clasp, and then turned to face her. The heart dangled just below the hollow of my throat. How does it look? Perfect, Sienna said. Today was going to be sad, but tomorrow would be worse. I couldn't imagine coming to school and not seeing her. The first half of 7th grade had been tough, and not just because I'd known my best friend was moving. During the summer, my dad had been posted overseas as the chief of staff for a peacekeeping mission in the Middle East. It wasn't the first time he'd had to leave us because of his job in the military, but this was the farthest he'd gone and for the longest time. Sienna had made it bearable with sleepovers and movie marathons for my birthday because she knew I loved mysteries. She'd even planned a scavenger hunt. It took us all day to follow the clues. She'd made my 12th birthday one I'd always remember. Today, it was my turn to repay the favor. I wanted to make this the best last day ever. The second bell rang. Come on, we should get to homeroom, I said. Just like I'd planned, Ayesha was on the lookout, and as soon as she spotted us coming down the hallway, she darted into Mr. Lee's room. I paused just before we got to the door and let Sienna open it. 30 voices shouted, "Surprise!" Maybe it was seeing everyone cheering for her or the huge banner that hung across the black window that read, "We'll miss you, Sienna." But Sienna froze in the doorway and then burst into tears. That was the best worst day I've ever had, Sienna sighed, summing up my feelings exactly. It was the end of the day. We were waiting for her mom at the front of the school. As soon as I said my final goodbye, I'd walk to the primary doors to pick up Kate. This time tomorrow you'll be in your new house, I said. Sienna nodded but couldn't have looked less excited. I hope you can come for a visit. Me too. Even though Mom had told me it wasn't in the budget, at least not this year. A familiar car pulled up to the curb. Sienna's mom Cindy got out and gave me a hug goodbye. Sienna's so lucky to have a friend like you, she said. Her eyes were misty too. Why are you moving if it's making everyone so sad? I wanted to ask. Sienna threw herself at me for a final squeeze. I left you surprised. It's in the library, she whispered. What is it? I can't tell you. Your clue is that it's Safer Approved. Safer Approved? She gave me a mysterious look and opened the car door. Cindy walked around to her side and got in. Let me know when you figure it out, Sienna said. She slid into the passenger seat and rolled down the window. I'll text you when I get there, she called as Cindy pulled into traffic. I stared after the taillights until the car turned the corner. A couple of primary kids walked past. Kate would be waiting. As I walked around the school, I repeated the clue she'd given me. Safer Approved. Only Sienna could have found a way to make me look forward to coming to school tomorrow. So I am ending it there. If you thought this little introduction to the Undercover Book List was interesting, you can check out this book inside the library. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week for a new book.